possible COVID case. And we continue to have everything that we had in the fall, 24-hour full-time service there. I'm pleased that I know that our chief worked very closely with your chief. We now have, I believe, I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but kind of reciprocity. We have the ability to kind of police the quality in Ashland through our university police, much to the same way we do here in the town of Plymouth. So that was something I believe that the Attorney General's office in New Hampshire allowed for towns to have as we were in the midst of COVID. So that's giving us a little bit more ability to police that property with our university sworn police officers. And your chief may be able to give you some more details on that, but I know they've been in close contact about that the last couple of weeks.
I found that information was very helpful. Hopefully people will access the Plymouth website and
Yes.
not rely on Facebook for their anecdotal information.
That's right.
That's, if anybody asks me, I will direct them to the Plymouth website. And I don't know if Chief Will would like to share anything with us.
So the only thing that I'll add is that I have been talking to Chief Temporino quite a bit, as well as I had a Zoom call last Friday with him, as well as Chief Lefebvre of Plymouth PD, which is where the university gets their authority for policing in the town of Plymouth. And they were basically, well, Chief Temporino was asking that the town of Ashland swear in all UPD officers as part-timers. And Charlie and I had talked in the past about possibility of liability, as well as what that would do paperwork-wise and HR-wise. And it was something that we both felt that the town wasn't really interested in doing. Based on that, Mr. Collingwood, you are correct in that we tried to do that through the mutual aid agreements. However, it appears that Chief Lefebvre of the Plymouth PD was interpreting the way that that mutual aid agreement was written. He interpreted a little bit differently than Chief Temporino and I did, and we are kind of at square one, unfortunately, with how the police departments are going to handle the quality in. And as of right now, it's going to be Ashland PD, and then if we may end up calling UPD to transfer kind of the police authorization and action to them, but technically we're going to have to deal with it first and then call UPD in, because that mutual aid agreement work, which is a little unfortunate, but it is the cards that were dealt, and it's really the same situation that we were in for your last semester. And it didn't really prove to be that big of a deal. There were only a couple, not even a handful of incidents that occurred up there that required police action. Most of the stuff taking place there is policy for the school. So UPD is doing that as it is.
Great, thank you for that update. But yeah, the last information I had, detailed information from Chief Temporino, was I believe last Tuesday or Wednesday. So things may have changed since then.
Yeah, we tried really hard to make it.
Yeah, I know.
We couldn't figure out a way to actually make that work without having us involved first, other than swearing everybody in, and that just didn't, for the town of Ashland, that didn't seem like it made a lot of sense to do it.
Sure, especially given what I think we all hope is the short-term nature of these issues and our use of the quality in. So,
absolutely.
Thank you. So again, as always, I'm available to answer questions. Email me, call me, and I will get back to folks as soon as possible. Kathleen, I agree. If I could get the whole world to follow the actual facts on what's happening on our website, it would be much better than them relying on social media. But if don't ever hesitate to tell someone, look, I don't know where your information you're getting, but here's this guy's phone number or email, and he'll tell you what's actually happening. And again, direct them to our website. It's prominently displayed there. It's updated every afternoon. And then on Fridays, the weekly report is updated there as well.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, Marlon.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Great.
And thank
Well,
you, Chief Olin, too, for your
Charlie,
input.
Charlie, anytime you want me to zoom in, just email me and I'm happy to join anytime. So,
Okay.
Your presence here was Mr. Smith's last chance to do that.
okay.
Mr. Smith is moving on to the town of Molten Borough.
Oh, congratulations, and I'm sorry.
Thank
For the town of Ashland, not for the town of Molten
Yeah.
Borough.
Yeah,
Oh, well, I didn't know which way you were going
Exactly, right.
with that, Marlon.
We'll let you know who, right now, Mr. Badger, right now, Mr. Badger, as the chairman of the board, will be monitoring emails. So if you have any information, send it to his governmental email that's on the Ashland town website.
Fantastic. Good. I will do that. And Eli, you have my information.
I
Feel
do.
free to get in touch anytime.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you
you
all
very
very
much.
much.
Thank you.
And stay safe and healthy.
Yes.
You too.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Charlie, you're up.
Okay. Craig Moore's not on here yet. He should be coming.
He's
The
getting
reason
his
why
COVID shot tonight.
Yeah, I think he said at like 5:45. The reason why I bring up Craig Moore is because Craig had asked me to reach out to VEPSA about, I don't know if everyone remembers, we reached out to VEPSA, which is Vermont Public Power Supply Authority. So everyone knows VEPSA is basically the broker for Ashland Electric. They also help us with many other things with Ashland Electric. So Craig asked me to reach out to them because we had previously talked to them about having a rotating type superintendent. And he was wondering if we are going to have someone that could possibly help with the TAP grant, which is the sidewalk project on Route 3. There's some utility poles that are going to be moved. So I reached out to Ken, and he has a guy that could help, that I sent the information to the selectmen if we needed it. But he also sent me this MOU, which is on the agenda, this Memorandum of Understanding. And he asked before I left to see if the board would agree to it. It's more of just a basically, hey, VEPSA was in here a couple weeks ago, and is Craig. Yep, and they gave us a presentation about the AMI, the advanced meter and infrastructure, and this really outlines that discussion to sort of document it for the next selectman that might come along and the next administration and managers. The board is not committed to anything. If you look at section, what is it, page 4, 3.5, AD would not be committed to any VEPSA program until the items described in section 3 are provided. And that's cost, equipment, final pricing from Aclara, et cetera, et cetera.
So whoever who takes your place will have this document to reference.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is there any downside to this MOU?
I didn't see any when I read it. Did you, Kathleen? I know you were.
When I first skimmed it, I went, whoa, I didn't realize we were to the point where now we had to commit. But the way I read it, it's basically saying we gave this presentation.
Yeah.
This is how I read it.
Yeah.
This is what we're offering you. You're not committed,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
It's almost like they have first dibs.
Yes. So I was hesitant about us signing it, but I feel now that it doesn't commit us to go with VESPA when we're ready to make that next step. It's just a list of the things that was presented to us and what our understanding of it is. But any of the people, members of the board, do they have any different points of view on this document? This is the first time I've ever had to deal with an MOU myself, so this was something new for me to
Well,
ask
it's-
questions about and review. Has Craig read this? Has Craig been in receipt of this, Charlie?
Craig, did you read the MOU?
Yeah, I looked over it. It looks to me like a standard MOU that you'd see that just has, the town of Ashland put into it. I skimmed over it like everybody else, and there's nothing that stood out at me, like Charlie said. But
I got
think-
the feeling that the reason for this was they're using this as a bargaining chip. I don't see how they could enforce this because they've specifically come out and said it ties nobody to anything. I don't have any real heartburn with it.
So it looks like we should accept it, given that there are no downsides. And, we're in a position where we might need their help.
Yes, I agree with Brad. I think it actually, it lays out each step.
Yeah.
And it was a good review of what their presentation was. And it's filled with, a lot of people, what's VESPA? That's the VPPSA. That's how we refer to it, which is the Vermont Public Power Supply. That's who we buy our power from. And this is a new, this is something new they're offering to their members. And of course, the more members they get agreeing to either consider entering into a contract with them, the more buying power they have. That's how I believe that's how Ken Nolan explained it. And the lady that did the presentation, I don't recall her name.
Jackie Leemer.
Yeah.
That's a great point, Kathleen. I think that's exactly right.
Yeah, had to go back to the presentation. And it makes sense.
So do you need the motion to
I'll
approve
need-
this?
Yeah, and have the chair or someone sign it.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the MOU with the understanding that Eli Badger signs it.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Alan Silly,
Nay.
Kathleen DeWolf,
Aye.
Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Fran Newton,
Aye.
Eli Badger. I'll vote for and say aye.
Real quick while we're talking about AED, I think before I leave, I need to really bring the board up to speed, I guess, a little bit more about AED. I think it's coming. You're gonna have the question asked, are you ready to invest into this department? I have those 3 proposals as I wrote in the playbook. You have that proposal from PLM Engineering to do that study about an engineering design. That's about $18,000. We got a proposal from PLM to do the arc flash safety study. That's 9,900, or call it 10 grand. And last week we had United Power Group in there to do the testing on the substation to make sure everything, all the equipment is adequate. That proposal came back higher than what I expected. Personally, that was close to $28,000. I talked to Able Software today about putting together a website. I deferred on making that decision because I didn't feel it was appropriate in case something happens. There really needs to be a contact person. If I'm not going to be here, it's not right to just make the decision so the next person doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
You also have to consider the third party billing, so bills get sent out properly, faster, and in time. Our machine broke again last week when it came to the billing. In good news, the handhelds, we did get the handheld devices. The linesmen had training last Friday. They're going to have training again tomorrow on how to use them. The data and the information with all the routes and the household numbers and the meters, all that stuff is going to be uploaded properly for them. So that hopefully will expedite the billing process. But to do the website, that's another probably close to $4,000. So, I mean, you're close to $60,000 here on a decision that needs to be, determined for this department. And that doesn't include the work with the substation. It doesn't include the work that is going to have to do with the pole studies that needs to be completed in the spring, the replacement of the poles. Craig's ready to order a few more poles. That's probably close to $10,000. There's just trying to give you the heads up that there's some important decisions that really needs to be made with that department forthcoming. Sorry to be such a downer. I did my best to write all of this up in the playbook.
Yeah.
There's contact information with everyone that I've been working with. Everyone that I'm working with.
We're going to have to review.
I let all the vendors know that I'm about ready to leave, but they're all waiting for that next step.
We're going to have to review sales.
We're gonna have to do a heck of a lot of work. I mean, in the year since we've transitioned, has it been a full year now since
2019.
that instead of any good news, we have found more delayed maintenance that's gonna cost a lot of money to bring up to date. We have probably artificially low electric rates that might have to be decided on. We have the new handhelds should make a difference. The meters, did they get a count how many meters in town were still the old mechanical meters? Charlie, when they did their
Yeah, we had to provide all of that to VEPSA as part of this to get the number from Aclara.
There's no nice way of saying this town is electric system is outdated, and it's going to cost quite a bit to bring it up.
You're absolutely right, Kathleen, and we need to be serious about investing some cash and some long-term planning into this system, which is so far behind where we need to be. And that includes thinking about raising rates. And I know that doesn't set well with a lot of people, but we've had it too good for too long.
Yes.
And we need to improve our operations, and we need to get some professional help, or we're going to be in worse trouble than we are now.
No, the instead of finding, okay, we can work with this is salvageable. It seems like every time we turn around, there's something else that is a major issue that needs to be addressed, that's gonna cost a lot of money. This is not something that Craig or any staff member can do. This has to be done properly by these engineering, whatever firms that do this for a living. It pains me to say this, but it's the reality, and we can't, well, you know, we can't keep kicking the can down the road.
We have decisions that needed, that will, well, we have decisions that needed to be made before us. So we will be the ones that make those decisions.
I think we have found in other areas, the town office is the major one. In order to move forward and to apply for grants and other support out there, you need these baseline studies, of which we have nothing, zero. So we're kind of starting from scratch in many ways. And it's not going to happen overnight, and we're going to have to kind of roll this out in an incremental way. So it's not going to be a huge shock on our electric ratepayers. But it's the task that we now have. AED and water and sewer are under the town, and we have to make these decisions, and we have no choice but to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff with AED, I think, and the website, those are, I guess you could say, wants than more just needs. The AMI, that's a big project. That would bring in accuracy on your meters. But the study at the substation is very important. That arc flash study is a safety measure. Is the way we interpret it. That's safety for the employees. And the arc flash study with PLM, that goes hand in hand with the United Group. PLM was ready to move forward with that study, but I sort of said, we got to wait till we hear from United, because they were just basically going to put an asterisk on the report until we had it tested. So I figured, well, we better get it tested before we move forward with the report. It's just that United is one of the few vendors out there that does this type of work. So we, you know, that with the holiday and all the other stuff, we had to wait a couple months. But those three things are really key, because the way we interpret it when we walk through them, and correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, is just the equipment's old. And we don't know what the backup plan is if something happens. You know, I mean, sorry folks, they went as far as to say you could have a terrorist attack or something. That people do attack these things, and there's no protocol.
Vulnerable.
There's no
Very vulnerable
measures in place. I mean, you could possibly shut down the power in town, and we could probably get a trailer to come in, but you know, that would help, you know, bring power back. But you know, you got to look at it, because otherwise you stand the chance of losing power for a significant amount of time. And I mean, I know the folks in Ashland are not used to that. I mean, power, I heard, never goes out around here. Well, it doesn't, and
until it does.
Until it does, and we're telling you what they
We have
told
no
us.
plan.
It's getting old. You know,
Yep.
the system's getting old.
And there's no plan.
We have some work cut out for us, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen.
Well, I would say we have some plans, but we just have to act on all the plans that Charlie has started and not let
Well,
them fall behind.
No plans activated, I guess I should say.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of stuff going, but I'm gonna count on you guys to make the decision whether we're going forward, because everything down there can be fixed, it can be upgraded. We just need to know how much you want to go, how quick you want to do it, and how much money do you want to spend.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's a bond and we get it all done.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a piecemeal.
Well, there are things that we will have to prioritize in this. And I think we have homework to do.
Well, maybe after next Saturday, we should
We can
start
start.
making a list, decide how we're gonna move forward with this.
Okay,
Craig, could you prioritize the way you feel things should go? Give us a rough idea. And I've always found in the past, you knock off one thing at a time and
Mhm.
you just keep plugging away.
Yeah, I think we have, like Charlie did a tremendous amount of work behind the scenes. I don't think anybody out there knows how much he did behind the scenes that we don't know about, but he got this all set up. So number one, we need an arc flash study.
Yeah.
And then they can start their other investigations on what do we need to do. Once we get that arc flash, and then the engineers can come in and do their work. And then they'll make a proposal and say, this is what we feel you need to do. Number one, number two, number three, number four. And they'll actually give us a cost of what they think it's going to cost us to do that. But we need to go, I think it's number one is the arc flash, right, Charlie?
Yeah, yeah, Andy, when we asked the engineers to come in and sort of take a look at the substation. We felt like it hadn't been looked at for years. We wanted to know, what's going on, what's the next step, because we had to put millions and millions of dollars into the substation. So when we took a walk with the engineer, he immediately said, look, you have to get an arc flash study done, because that's most important. But, employee safety, when was the last time you did one? And we all looked at each other and said, God, we started a year ago. So I said, well, how much is it, et cetera, et cetera. And this was probably, I'd say 2.5, 3 months ago. It just needs.
That was going to cost what, $9,000?
Yeah, about 10 grand. Yeah, 10 grand.
Okay.
The testing proposal that they said we also needed to get done, that's going to test all the equipment down there, that came out at an estimate of 28,000.
Yeah, but the arc flash was number one, right, Charlie? And that's
Arc flashes, yeah. They go hand in hand. The engineer relies on the testing to do his analysis on the arc flash report.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And have that's been authorized but not scheduled yet, right, Charlie?
United? No, they came and walked through last week when you were out.
Right, but they haven't told you when they're going to do the test.
No, they just they just gave us, this is how much it would be.
Yeah, but it hasn't been authorized to let them do the work.
No.
No.
So we still have to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Even if we did give them the go ahead, I don't know how long it would take for them to actually get here. I mean, they're in high demand. I mean, I talked to Wolfboro about that, and they told me that, yeah, they're one of the few that actually do this type of work, and they're all over New England.
Well, that sounds like that might be the first step we need to initiate.
Yeah.
They'll give us something to do.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Anything else about AED, Charlie, that you wanted to?
I mean, I can resend this all to you guys again if you want to look at their proposals.
Yeah, why don't you just in case that maybe it got by a few people, some of the newer members that they didn't quite understand the importance of it. Because I think I can speak for most of the board that this was new information to us too, that we had to absorb and really just wrap our head around how we're going to move forward with this.
Yeah, and don't hesitate to ask questions too, because we can certainly send those off to the engineers. I mean, it's a very defined and technical industry that can be really confusing. I mean, I do my best to try to put it in layman terms, but it can be difficult to understand, I think.
Well, thank you, Craig, for your input, because I think we're gonna have to rely on you as being kind of the field person to give us a sense of what is actually happening on the ground out there. I just know I was absolutely horrified when I saw how the water was running under that fence right towards all that big transformer stuff and surrounded by a metal fence. It just to me it was like something out of a horror movie.
Well, it flooded out. I mean, it flooded out, Kathleen, until Craig, when we paved around the utility building, that Craig and the guys, they fixed that.
But you know, I saw it before that, and it was like, oh my gosh, yeah. This needs to be taken care of.
Okay, Eli, I had another thing that sorry, I forgot to put this on the agenda on Friday, but I thought of it after I post. At our last meeting, we talked about the Family First Coronavirus Relief
Yes.
Act. And we asked, the board wanted to continue that conversation about this subject at this meeting. Fran and Alan weren't at that meeting, and to bring you both up to speed, FFCRA, essentially what this is and was federal legislation that said if you were impacted by COVID in 2020, the government was guaranteeing 80 hours of leave time. That policy expired on 12/31/2020. It was the option for communities or employers if they wanted to extend it to 3/31/2021. Again, since I'm leaving, I didn't feel comfortable just going out to extending it. I mean, it could have been considered a town manager decision, I guess you could say, under a budgetary, but you know, it could also be framed as a policy decision. So therefore, I asked the board to decide if they wanted to extend it to 3/31. The board just last week decided to extend it to, I believe, the 15th.
Yes.
15th, and then to consider the conversation at this meeting.
What is the cost, Charlie?
Well, the cost, it's to me, there's only a cost if the employee were to leave, because it would be like giving them 2 weeks, Fran. For example, last week we had employees that we've actually 4 employees, I think. We had 4 employees, I believe, off the top of my head, that had to quarantine for 2 weeks. Being that we extended the policy, we basically said you don't have to use your sick time because you have to quarantine. You see what I'm saying? So we're not making them use their hours. So the cost would be whether or not we have them use their hours, and that cost turns into monetary if someone was accrued liability if someone were to leave.
Well, what I'm reading is that we have increasing numbers of COVID in Ashland. Last I looked, there were a total of 74. Total. 14 or something active. I mean, it's hit our community. Given that we only have 2,000 people, I think we need to take every opportunity to extend benefits to our employees.
And that was the concern, was it's not so much what would happen now, it's what happens in September and October if these employees don't have any more sick time or accrued time, then they could go a week without a check.
I'm all in favor of extending it. Those of us who are older are going to get our vaccines, but our employees not necessarily. And it's not going away in our community very soon.
Charlie, what was the federal government's plan after 80 hours?
That was it. The plan was only 8
That
hours.
was it. So at the end of 80 hours, overdone, they're on their own?
Unless the town wanted to pick up the tab. That was my take.
Yeah, and I haven't heard, I mean, I know Biden administration has a $1.9 trillion proposal that they want to get through. I don't know if that's part of anything. Who knows? I have no idea.
Some of it, I think, was earmarked to assist cities and towns, but of course, that hasn't even gone to the floor
Yeah.
for a vote yet, so that it does, we don't know when that would be enacted.
One of the things that Charlie brought up last time, I believe, was that we've already budgeted the individual's salary. So we would not have to find the money elsewhere.
Yep, that's correct.
Charlie, can you put that in a statement form so it would be something that we could then vote and act on? Because right now, I don't know what budget line it would come from.
Well, it's just the regular employee salary line. And what we do, for example, we still had the employees submit their time cards last week, but we just write COVID-19 or something. Catherine, what did you write? I think Catherine wrote COVID, just COVID-19, FFDRA. We just kind of flag it that says, they were out because of that, or they were exempt because of that.
Yeah, so we have to track, sick, vacation, personal time. And what we've done in finance is we've just added a column called FICRA, essentially, to track the number of hours that people are having to self-isolate or quarantine. And, in accordance with the federal law, we'll track up to the allotted amount. Now that's prorated if you're part-time. It's 80 hours if you're full-time. And once those 80 hours or your prorated amount has been fulfilled, then they would have to use, their own sick, vacation.
Okay,
time.
thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. I didn't know how this was managed through.
Yeah, and
The
Charlie's right,
HR
it just gets charged to whatever line their salary normally gets charged to. And in finance, we are obviously paying attention to whatever funding is available. And if it's similar to the prior CARES Act funding, it'll likely be an eligible reimbursable expense.
Thank you. That was very helpful to me because I did not know how this was being managed through finance and HR. Are you asking us to act on it now, Charlie?
Well, you extended it to the 15th, or you vote on it at that meeting.
Okay. I don't know if maybe any, the other board, I'm not sure. Were you at that meeting, Fran? Is that the meeting you?
No, I was not.
Okay. But
Alan
maybe
and
Fran
Fran
and Alan need to, review the information. Well, it's a governmental website that Charlie sent us a link that explains it. That you might want.
Well, I think I'm in favor of extending it. I'm just not sure what quite language we need to use for a motion.
Well, motion to extend the Family First Coronavirus Relief Act for Ashland employees until March 31st, 2021.
As per,
yeah.
So moved.
I'll second that.
any further discussion?
Yeah, Eli, I want to make sure that we've got the 80 hours in this. I don't want anybody taking advantage of this. I don't know if we've got anybody that would, but I've seen it happen in the past.
We just make it clear what the cap is.
going back to the wording of what was allowed with the extension.
Do we need to insert a cap of 80 hours?
I believe so.
I mean, all right, I'm gonna say this now. I guess I'm leaving, so it doesn't matter.
Now, Charlie.
Employees probably won't like me. Well, I know I've talked to you a couple about this. I mean, a big pet peeve of mine in our personnel policy is the fact that employees have the option to use a sick buyout. And I've already had a few that came through, and I understand that's in the policy. And I'm a little frustrated with myself that during the CBA, I missed that one because I've had to sign off on employees that are using sick buyouts in January, and that wasn't to me the intent of the policy.
So they have nothing for the rest of the year.
That's right, especially during a pandemic.
This, if we say that the 80 hours needs to be COVID related, because this is from the COVID relief. Action that was done that ended on 12/31. And we've been asked to extend that to March 31st. Using the same language, it would be used only for COVID related illness.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is almost a freeze on sick buyouts or some sort until then, because
this isn't a sick buyout situation.
I'm trying to preserve the sick time.
Absolutely.
Because like I said, I've
they might
signed
need
off
it.
on 40 hours already in January.
Yeah.
And these are non-exempt employees, and I don't know what's going to happen in October or November.
Yeah.
And this, you might not have anything. I mean, if you're willing to take the risk and the chance, I guess, but I'm just.
Can we put a freeze on that? Do we have that authority? That while we're still dealing with the pandemic, there will be a freeze on sick buyout?
I'd have to double check if it's in the CBA. I can't remember off the top of my head.
The other thing we could do is review this every 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's a point.
Yeah. But I hope you guys understand what I'm saying is, I mean, you're about ready to give them time.
Yeah.
Don't just go burn your other time.
Yeah.
When we're trying to give you a benefit for your safety.
Yes, I agree with you.
Charlie, is that the union workers that have the buyout?
I think so. I definitely know it's in the CB. Excuse me, the person.
If it's the union workers, there's no way we're going to stop it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's in the contract.
You see it in the contract, Andy?
No, I said if it's in the contract. I haven't even seen the contract.
I can't remember the top of my head, but
Yeah,
It is involved.
it's in the CBA.
oh, is it? Okay.
It is, but next time we do this, we just have to say the buyout can be done in December,
December or something.
Yeah.
November and December, when it's at your end of your, not at the beginning.
Not in January.
It's one of those things when we were negotiating, we had priorities, and when we got to this one, there were other things that we felt that we needed to try to get them in agreement with instead of getting into a back and forth. But yes, it's something, if it's there, people will use it until they can't do it. So put that on the list for 2 years from now or a year and a half from now, when the negotiations start, that this probably should be up near the top of the negotiating list.
I will say though, because a lot of those go through my hands now, 95% of the employees do wait till the end of November, early December to do it.
You know, that makes sense. That's the wise thing to do. You know you're gonna get it. And to take it at the front end, you're hoping that you don't get sick, that you don't have a family member that gets sick and you need to be with them. So I guess us older folk think further ahead because we're at that stage in our life, and things happen. Things happen in a flash. So I do understand where somebody might not think ahead in that way.
So, yeah,
Charlie, do we have everybody back yet? Is everybody back off of the COVID watch?
yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you.
We got a motion to extend it to 3/31. Did you want to change that, Eli, to revisit this?
I could ask that if we are still having problems in figuring out a way to get through this, then I would suggest that the motion is removed from the table and we continue on a bi-weekly review until we find out if the $1.9 trillion package, COVID package, passes.
I'll retract my second.
Okay.
And I'll retract my motion. I'm
Alright.
all in favor of reviewing it as it comes up.
So Fran, do you want to make a new motion?
Well, I just wrote it in the minutes, Kathleen.
Okay,
Okay.
I don't think you need to, vote on it. Because in 2 weeks will be, when you-
it's not, it hasn't become policy yet, so.
yeah, the 15th is when I think you extended it to the first time.
Is everybody comfortable with that?
I am.
Yeah, yes.
Well, then let's.
I'm on board.
Let's do a consensus.
Alan?
Alan?
Yes.
Okay. Kathleen?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
And Eli? Yes. The consensus is that we continue to the 15th and we'll review it then.
Good, got it.
Before we move on to you, Mr. Smith.
Sure.
Catherine Davis brought to my attention that she would like for the finance department to have Acrobat Pro with e-sign, because the governor has said that we wouldn't even have to come into the office to sign things. We could click on a button and we could sign the documents that way. Catherine, do you want to talk about it?
Sure. So this is it's a per user account. It's $14.99 per month. It's an extension on Adobe Acrobat DC, which gives you a live sign function. What I would do is I would scan something like an accounts payable manifest or check register into Adobe, and then I would send out a request for signatures on that document. It would come through email, and the document is live, meaning that when anybody on the email clicks on it, they would see who has signed it, and it's verified through Adobe Sign. And it would be a quicker and easier way to receive a quorum of signatures from the board in light of the upcoming departure of our town manager. I've seen it and I've used it in the past and it works really well, especially with COVID. And it would prevent a quorum of the board from traveling to town hall on a regular basis to sign that.
I'm sure we're gonna have an interim where we will be reverting back to almost the town administrator type scenario where a quorum of the board had to go to the town office, review the manifest and sign off on it, and the same with payroll. I always thought my signature on those e-forms is like, what the heck? That doesn't look like my signature, but obviously that's how it works. I would, as long as I can see when I'm signing off on the different accounts payable, and which is include the whole manifest, and the same with payroll. So I would support this.
Now, the $15, $14.99 a month, it's forever.
Until it changes, right?
But you get automatic,
Updates.
you get automatic updates for as long as you have bought the subscription
You
and
can't
maintain
cancel it.
subscription, you get free updates.
You can cancel the.
You can cancel it at any time.
Is that per person or is that
One
for,
computer. It's a one-person, it is a one-person software.
I mean, each one of us would have our own personal
No.
software? No, okay,
No,
didn't think so.
Catherine, it would be on the town's cloud, or however they want to set it up. Town of Ashland. And she could create forms and send it out for signature. You could have it out on up to 2. Generally, Adobe says you can have it on 2 different computers,
Okay.
not to be used at the same time. But it is $15 in perpetuity.
Yeah, so to clarify, Eli, it's $15 for the finance director, not $15 for every selectman to
That's
sign.
right. It's just, we don't need it.
Yeah.
You will automatically, if she sends us a email with an attached document,
We open it up.
we can sign it.
Do you think there's a better product out there? I know you're an Apple user, so.
Well, Adobe is probably the best on the market with the best documentation. There are other people who make this sort of software, but trying to get them to fix the bugs, just as we've had an issue with a certain billing software, and trying to get 7 Chinese programmers to make it right. We would have.
Let's say Asian. Let's say Asian.
I would suggest that we do Adobe. It works. They have good support and on their products. Alan?
I'm sorry, Eli, I'm having a conversation here.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Turn yourself back off.
So Catherine, are they gonna send a 15-year-old over here to teach me how to use this software?
You won't have
Andy,
to
if
look.
you, if you stop by, I'll be happy to show you how it works.
I'll supply my own 2x4.
We have to get
Andy,
this.
you have a support team right here.
Okay,
We'll all figure it out together.
consensus that Catherine can go ahead and purchase this?
I'll say yes.
Yes,
Andy,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Eli says yes.
Thank you.
Now,
Keep us updated, please.
Mr. Smith,
Okay.
the town manager.
Yeah, so I put this on the agenda because I wanted to find out where I am essentially with the Board of Selectmen. I mean, what I mean by that is basically,
You want me to paraphrase for you?
yeah, go ahead, give it a shot.
Very simple. Charlie doesn't want to be here anymore.
That not paraphrase quite like that. Well, I just feel as though I've done what I can
Okay.
do. What I mean by that is I've
Charlie,
written.
You provided your game plan.
Yes,
You have hidden all of the passwords and logons.
Not really, but yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
The keys to the castle are.
Have you signed off on the audit yet?
Yes.
Well,
I gave him grief.
I don't care. Did you sign off on the audit?
I gave him some grief, put it that way.
Yeah.
you did sign the audit. I believe you did it when I was in the office today.
Well, I mean, I didn't sign it. I gave them feedback.
Yeah. Okay.
That I.
Is the audit now complete and can move out of the draft form?
Catherine?
No, not yet. I forwarded Charlie's concerns regarding the governance letter to our auditors.
Okay,
And I provided a copy of the policy in question. And I'm just waiting to hear back as to how I can help bring it to conclusion.
Okay.
so if Mr. Smith isn't here, who are any other signatures needed?
Well, Kathleen, I never signed the audit. I've never.
You don't sign the bottom line?
Oh, no, ma'am. No, I've never.
Ma'am, you called me ma'am?
What is that? Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, now he's leaving. I'm gonna be called ma'am. Okay,
Well, that's better than the other thing.
yeah, that's true. That's true. I've just never heard that leave his lips before. I'm not quite sure how to take it.
Okay. All seriousness.
Yes, I believe I will put it forward that Mr. Smith's last day with the town of Ashland would be Friday.
I think Mr. Smith has another idea.
He might, but I thought I'd put that forward.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking tomorrow.
No,
Yeah, technically, my contract in Molten Borough starts on Wednesday. I was able to work with them to get it extended to try to help through the deliberative, but I was able to, I feel, get everything done that I needed to before then. DRA has the warrant, it's all set, everything is signed off and posted, all of those forms have
Okay.
been uploaded to DRA. They have them, the town report. Let me take a step back. The voter's guide is all set. We have copies printed out here, ready to go. It's all on the
how
website.
about the town report?
the town report, I got my last bit of information today from the treasurer. We just need the auditors, a couple pages from the audit report, which Catherine says. I assume that Catherine, that they'll probably get that to us by Friday or Monday. Alls we need for the town report are the minutes from Pat Tucker, who takes them at the deliberative session, because those are included. I confirmed with the copier today that who we want to move forward with. I wrote, like I said, I wrote the playbook with
We
every,
aren't gonna see a draft of the town report, I guess, are we? I believe you shared it with us last year. Because there was.
sure, I mean, I can certainly share it with you. There are some pages that are PDFs.
Yeah, okay,
That basically the copier printer, speaking of Adobe, they basically merge it to get to one report.
I think it was last year upon reading it, there was some non-factual information that needed to be deleted from certain things, and I would like to see a draft copy personally. I don't know if the rest of the board does, but I would.
Okay, Miss Loud,
Yes, thank you.
I
very
am going to break my normal procedure and let you speak.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being able to address both the BOS and the town manager, as well as chair of the trustees of the trust funds. Charlie, I emailed you not very long ago because I thought of it when I saw you at the BOS meeting when I tuned in. My understanding is that in January at one of the BOS meetings, Board of Selectmen voted to expend capital reserve funds, tax map, I think to pay a tax map bill. And I think there was another one or two of those. I would ask, in order for us trustees of the trust funds to pay those bills in a timely fashion upon your departure, I would ask that you please have that paperwork prepared for us. As you know, you prepare the paperwork that has the minutes that shows the select board's decision, to expend the funds, and you put it all together, and then we trustees can write the checks. I would just ask that you do that because there would be some uncertainty as to when we would have that paperwork again.
It was the minutes of January 19th.
No, I know.
Right.
I delegated that to finance today, Amanda, to make them aware. I've been stressing that with the department heads to really work with finance on
So
that.
when you're saying finance, are you saying Catherine Davis?
Catherine and
Make
Diane.
sure I'm thinking I've got the same person in my mind that you do. So thank you. Okay.
We're almost ready to go, but I wanted to make sure with finance that some of the bills were paid. I don't like to go back and forth with you guys, as you know. I know a few that need to be reimbursed, but I still needed to know if the bills were paid. For example, the paving around the utility building, that was approved by a town vote, but we have to make sure with finance whether or not the check actually already went out before we could get it back. But I have been emphasizing strongly to Catherine. Catherine, I think I said it to you today, didn't I? That says we got to get those packets prepared for the trustees. But I thought it was quarterly. I thought it was quarterly.
That was our goal, was to sign quarterly, and our next meeting will be after the polls in March. So I think we've scheduled it like March 30th or something, whatever that fourth Monday is. So at any rate, okay, Catherine, well, you know who I am, you know how to reach me. And as long as things are in process, I just didn't want that to be left loose. I didn't want that to be a loose end upon your departure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're back to Charlie wanting tomorrow to be his last day.
I mean, if we can mutually agree, unless there was anything else that this Board of Selectmen needs. Last thing, when it comes to the deliberative, I talked to Andrew today. He's going to meet with Craig Moore on Friday to pick up some of the equipment, and both of them, like they're going to use the big screen TV in there for the deliberative and set up on Friday. The signs going out, should have went out today. We already advertised in the paper.
What about
Did
the,
we find out who the deputy moderator is?
Sandra Coleman.
That's been confirmed?
Yep, no changes.
Charlie, what about the second room for the non-mask wearers?
It's going to be set up just like it was at the public hearing for the budget committee.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. So would the assistant, the deputy moderator would have to be in that room, I'm guessing, to facilitate?
And
I sent the moderator the email that we received from SAU.
Yeah.
The expect.
And Patsy wants to know who is going to be at the front door telling the unmasked people where to go.
Would that not be up to the moderator to facilitate that? Because we have a duty to,
We have to sit at a table.
we have to sit at a table, yes. It's not a, it's, we have other duties that we have to fulfill, or duty to fulfill.
Chief, are you still on with us?
I'm here.
Any chance that you or one of your officers would be able to tell people where to go?
What room to ambulate to?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question.
I just changed.
I mean, I'll be there, but I'm gonna be inside.
Yeah, that's not his duty.
I'm not sure that I can have somebody dedicated to be, I'd have to pay somebody overtime to come in to stand out front for that time frame, because we'll only have one person on the road.
Okay,
I don't think
know if
that's in
that's
his
something that-
purview, to be honest with
I
you.
was just hoping.
Just asking, okay.
That was gonna be my next point, was that I think it's probably something that either the moderator sets up, or
Mhm.
maybe they can ask somebody to volunteer to do that, but that's really
It's,
falls out of our realm.
yeah, it's not a Board of Selectmen's.
So I guess we, Mr. Smith needs to send out a
Well, you know-
memo that moderator needs to put that in, make a
He
decision.
gets to talk to
That's
Bob
right.
tomorrow.
I'm gonna meet with the moderator when we set the gym up. I can ask her just to have the deputy do it.
That'd be
And
fun.
then she can just stand there and then direct them up to the locker room, and then, they'll know that she's gonna be there with them.
Okay,
Okay.
that's a point. Thank you, Craig.
So when I meet with her Friday to set the gym up, because she's gonna want to go over everything, I'll just mention that to her if you guys want, to see if the deputy can monitor that with no masks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're back to Tuesday.
Tomorrow's a snow day.
Not for me.
Freebie. That's a freebie.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Board of Selectmen, do we let Charlie off the hook, or do we want to keep seeing him?
I think we let him off the hook.
Well, that's up.
Unfortunately, Charlie, I'm going to be out of town and I won't get to come by and say goodbye.
Yeah.
I wish you all the best and best of luck in your new position. We will miss you, but I think it's time for you to move on.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be in okay shape. We can handle it from here.
So he can ease on down the road then.
And I was going to say that to a lot of these members of the board. I mean, Fran Newton was on the board that hired me, and
We've
you know,
never forgiven her.
we've been through this the whole time, like together, basically. So thanks, Fran.
You're welcome, Charlie. You know, it's been an adventure. What can I say?
Yeah, basically. Yep.
We've learned a lot together.
Yeah, you know, I think,
We're
yes,
both moving on.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, we've helped push the town forward. I mean, I think everyone here, you know, I know this board takes a lot of heat for the decisions that you guys make. And, you know, to me, you're volunteers, you all care about the town of Ashland. You're trying to do the best that you can for these folks in the town. You know, some take it personal, so be it. But I think everyone here, I mean, it's been pretty much the same folks, from bouncing from committee to committee and board to board, and you all care about the town. I mean, you know, I think that goes a long way. This speaks to a lot of your character and your integrity and who you are as people. And sometimes I wish people would respect and appreciate that a little bit more than
you're gonna make me cry, jeez.
what you do. But I mean, it's true. I mean, it's true. It's true. You know, I mean, we've had a lot of similar faces, but in the end, y'all care about the town.
But you don't have to be born and raised here to care about the place where you choose to call your home.
Right.
That's what
Thank
I
you,
tell people.
Kathleen. I appreciate that comment.
You know, I truly believe that. I'm doing this because I care. And thank you, Charlie. Oh, I think even Andy has some background working with the town before, but rest of us
Board.
on the plan, but we all have sat on other boards or committee and learned some of the ropes to try to manage the town and to make sure it's a safe place. We reduce risk and liability on the town, that we do our best to provide all the services that people expect from a town. Department heads know perfectly well. They have quite, you know, it's difficult for them. We very seldom hear praise, but we certainly hear all the criticism. That being said, I've had my differences with Mr. Smith, but we always were able to talk.
Yeah.
That's why when he called me ma'am, I thought, oh, we're going someplace else now. But we were
I'm not exclusive though, Kathleen.
But you know, just talking, we kind of figured some things out that we could, you know, so he could understand and I could understand, that we could share with the rest of the board. And that being said, you know, I wish you the best of luck
All right, thank
moving
you.
forward, Charlie. And should I say, don't hesitate to call if you.
Well, Craig Moore already told me today if they're down a truck, he's going to call me.
Yes, we have a new resource to tap now, and we can see,
Molten Borough Lent,
we know the town your town administrator really well. So,
Right, Craig? Molten Borough lent DPW
That's right.
Ashland a truck for one winter.
yes, so,
Yeah, the whole winter.
oh, I remember that winter, yes. So, yeah, we, you know, a lot of us, we could go down the road of reminiscing. It hasn't always been easy, but we move, I believe we moved the town forward,
Yep.
even if it was baby steps, but.
Yep. And everything, to reassure you, Kathleen, everything's documented. I
Oh,
published.
it better be, you
I
know how
published
I deal.
everything. It's all in the packets. All the packets are online. There's copies here. There's copies with finance. It's on this computer. You know,
We have provided the town with all the information they need to know. It's the same information that we have, that we make our decisions on.
that was a big part.
I don't think we could possibly be any more transparent than we have tried to be.
I agree.
But I'm starting to ramble on now, so once again, Charlie, best of luck.
Thanks,
And-
Kathleen. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay, Charlie?
Okay. let me know
Okay,
if you
well,
need anything.
bon voyage.
One other thing,
Do we have something else for him to do?
not for him. But the last time we met, Andy brought up that he might be he could be useful if DPW got into the weeds or about plowing.
Mhm.
And we
What are your plans tomorrow, Andy?
Yeah,
uh,
I already
Shutting
asked
my
him that.
phone off.
okay.
I already put that up to him.
So what I did is I called Mr. Moore today
Hmm.
and asked him about this topic, and Craig thought it might work.
Okay,
I don't want to put a lot of words in Craig's mouth because it wouldn't be right. But so just wanted to get that out to the public.
when Andy approached us with this, we had how many people quarantined? 4 in town, so we need to be flexible and we need to have some sort of backup plan.
And when, talking with Craig today, it's not like he's going to be used every single day. Unless there's a real problem.
It's a backup plan.
Yeah.
And thank you for Andy for offering the, experience he has, that I don't know what we do with the department that plows the roads is very small, and
So we will have to sign off on Mr.
Yeah.
Fitch's PAF form.
I think did I sign that today? I believe I did.
Signed that last week, Kathleen,
Okay,
but I do need other signatures.
Yep. Anything else that another board member has?
I'm just glad everybody didn't say that was a good plan.
It's a
it's
backup.
a
plan.
marvelous plan.
Anything else? Hearing none.
Motion to adjourn.
Happy birthday, Fran.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Good luck, Charlie.
Thanks. Take care.
Good luck, Charlie.
Luck, Charlie.
Bye.
Good
Keep in
luck.
touch.